Ram, and we are now
Okay.
recording, Ram.
Good, good. Which means that this has happened in the past. Yes.
Well, and everyone watching it, of course, will be watching it in the now. So the past and that they know it's
Yes.
fantastic, isn't it? Yes.
It's all together. It's all together. Yes, that's right. There is only the now.
Well, it gives me so great pleasure to be having this conversation with you, Ram, because just in terms of sort of general background, our paths first crossed in 2016 at your first World Yoga Festival in Reading, which
Yes.
was at Beale Park, and it was just it was a fantastic event, which has been happening sort of every year subsequently up till so last year when everything was on pause, but it's scheduled again for 2021.
Indeed.
And it's fantastic because it brings together a real sort of variety of practitioners and teachers. Some from who are sort of from India, who come over from India, then others who are sort of from elsewhere, and in its time, it's built up a very loving and loyal following, Ram. So there has to be something. You're obviously doing something right here, Ram.
Yes, would like to think so. And in fact, we always classified it as, if we wanted to go to an event like this, what event would we like to go to? A very difficult question, because neither Shonali, my wife, or myself had ever been to a festival before in our lifetime. So trying to organize one from scratch was rather difficult. The children thought we were absolutely crazy. Of course we were.
Well, having been to all of them so far, I can just sort of vouch for them being sort of fantastic, because it's got it has a kind of family feel to it, which is really lovely. And I'll put all the links in the commentary sort of below, so people can see how to find out more and about sort of the foundation that you'll set up, the Ashakula Foundation.
Yes.
And just very briefly, I was sort of reading your own sort of journey, which sort of started as a sort of computer scientist, who then became sort of more and more interested in the mysteries of life, and hopefully these mysteries of life that you've studied and immersed yourself in have in some way touched on the theme of joy, Ram.
It has. It has, yes.
So Ram, tell us, please. So, what is joy? What is joy to you? What does it mean to you?
Well, you're absolutely right. I came from a very scientific, very applied engineering background, and you think that joy is not something that computer scientists have, really. They're geeks, and they don't go any further. But joy to me is learning. Learning has always been my greatest joy. And so when I find that I can learn, I learn. And when I find that I can't learn and I know something more than other people, then I teach. So whether it's learning in this direction or the opposite direction, it doesn't matter to me. That is joy to me.
Oh, how fantastic.
It's always been learning. And in fact, in order to do so, I've done all sorts of things and spent in the, I love this phrase, in the noughties, I spent 7.5 years in California, right?
Lovely.
Trying to do startups and things like that in the computer business. And I got to know so many people. And that's when it started to trigger in me that joy is worth having. And it's not dependent upon external things. Because California's got it all, the sunshine, the wine, the people, the very rich people and things like this. And I used to get people coming around to me saying, I'm down to my last $500,000. So the joy had left them. And I thought, why? This is the place anywhere, if you're going to get joy on earth, is going to be on the West Coast of this, near San Francisco, the Bay Area, all of that is going to be joy. And it wasn't to be found.
Isn't that
right?
interesting? Yes.
And I realized that this joy was obscured by fear.
Oh, that's lovely. Yes. Interesting.
And
Yes.
joy is our natural thing, but most of the time we obscure it. We obscure the blue sky of joy with clouds of fear.
Oh, nice. Yes.
And they never completely go past. If they go past for a little while, we get a little bit of joy, all right, and then the next cloud comes in, and so we do far too much thinking. And so I started to analyze, started to find out, since I didn't know the answer. And for the very first time, I found out that everything that I had and everything that I knew could not solve the problem of how to get to this joy.
Oh, lovely.
And
Yes.
so all the years of education that I'd had served me to no purpose whatsoever to find out what joy was.
Oh, fantastic.
And therefore, I started with the phrase, what if everything I know is wrong?
Oh, lovely. Yes.
And that's when you start raiding the shelves, trying to find books on what other people have found. Because
Yep.
if I don't know it, I need to learn it from somebody else.
Yes.
And you started to sort of the self-help groups in those times were very small sections, and then gradually more and more spiritual work. And Shonali was a great part of this. She was with me all the way, and eventually we got round to what they said thousands of years ago in the Vedas in ancient India. And I find out that everything pointed towards that. And that's when we really started to learn about what is all of this, and found out that joy is not associated with anything outside of you. It's your internal nature. You don't even have to find it. All you have to do is eradicate the fear, and out it pops. And,
Fantastic.
and that's what we found out. And we thought, so we left California, came back to Britain. And I mean, at least we've got something to be miserable about with the weather, right? But here, the joy was missing also. And so eventually we started a meditation group trying to bring out, the inner self and all this sort of thing. And eventually on the recommendation of a Swami who'd visited us, we said, right, we've got to create the environment where the very best teachers can teach those who want to know how to get joy back in their lives.
Oh,
And we contacted people like you to come along, and people from around the world. And the more people that came, the more benefit that they received, the more they came back and they told their friends. And we've just grown this organically. And as you say, it's been a family thing where we had ones and twos became fives and tens and 20s. People were taking their summer holidays in the fields of the World Yoga Festival. So that's the way that it grew, because it derives some benefit. You don't do something repeatedly if there's no benefit to you. And that's what they found. They found the joy, and the joy was the eradication of fear. Right?
that's a fantastic message, Ram.
And,
Just
and, the, and the greatest fear that we have, of course, is we're going to snuff it, kick the bucket.
well,
Right?
yes.
And I've got news for everyone. This body is going to die. Right? Someday it is going to die.
Yes.
But until then, I'm going to maximize it. And even when the body dies, the Vedas, the wisdom tradition says that you do not.
Yes.
You're immortal. You're going to come back into another body and get to do it all over again. It's just one joy after another. Don't be dependent on the outside world. It's the thing inside you that's really important.
That is just fantastic, Ram. That is fun. Now, I hope, and I'm sure that people listening to this and watching this will be inspired to come to the next World Yoga Festival, right? Because everything you've said, that's exactly what I've experienced by being there, and it's a real the kind of the heartfeltness.
Yeah, I mean, people think that it's a yoga festival, so it's young women in leotards having stretches. And there's a lot of people doing classical yoga asana, but some of them, you can only do so much yoga. And in some of our tents, we have 12 hours of physical yoga going on, right, throughout the day. And you can only get so much. And sooner or later, some of them tiptoe in on some of the talks.
Yes.
And they sit on the edges. And they gradually, as the interest grows, they come inside the tent. And then we get these wonderful messages, Charlie and I, to say, I came for this, I found that, I feel that this was the reason for me to be there. Thank you. It's completely changed my life. And just one message like that would make it all worthwhile.
Yes.
But we get hundreds of messages like that.
Fantastic. And actually what you've just described there of someone, you know, they do all their physical yoga, and then they sort of come and they appear at the side of the tent of one of the talks, and then tiptoe in. That very much is like the inner journey, isn't it? It's the journey to joy.
It is. When you think that it is physical, it's all about external things, it's all about the body, suddenly the mind gets involved, and you think more about the mind, and then you start to, then somebody just clicks something that says, how do you know that you're having the thought? Who is the thinker? Right?
Yeah.
And who is the awareness of the thought? And suddenly people say, I don't know. So, and that's the best place to start. When you can say, I don't know, you are ready to learn.
Yes, lovely.
And so what we do is, on a platter, we provide the very best items for you to taste. Teachers, ideas from all around the world of who you really are. Come and taste if you've got the courage to do so. All we can guarantee is that this is the finest selection you'll ever find. Come and have a taste, because I think you'd be interested.
Well, there we go. Absolutely. I absolutely, and I you know, absolutely. This is what I myself have experienced sort of by being there. And it is, it's just fantastic, Ram. This, I knew this would be a very good conversation, Ram. And it is, I'm sure people will listen to this and they will be moved and they will be encouraged and they will be inspired. So Ram, thank you very, very much for taking the time out of your day.
You're most welcome. It's been great talking to you. Take care.
Right. And fingers crossed, see you in the summer.
Absolutely. We shall be there. Yeah, we shall be there, and we shall be fearless.
Yes.
And by being fearless, we will let the joy win.
Thank you, Ram. Thanks
very much indeed. Take care. Bye-bye.